Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello. I'm probably going to yell later, so I probably don't need to turn it up too terribly loud because I am fucking fired up, bitches. Yeah, yeah. That's probably good, huh? Ho, 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 ho. What's up, faggots? You know, part of the problem in this world is that we have grown way too sensitive about other people's feelings. And I don't fucking care if you didn't like that. My kids are running around the house calling everything gay. That's gay. Your your brother's gay. My brother's gay. Waylon's gay. Oh, he looks gay. That was so gay. The breakfast you made me this morning, that was gay. Dinner was gay. Let's bring that shit back, bro. It doesn't fucking mean anything about actual gay people. I don't care. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody fucking cares that you like to sword fight with another dude, sir. Nobody cares that you like to lay down at the end of a long day, ma'am, and peel your mildly overweight lover's panties down and go to town on that furry little snatch. Nobody fucking cares. I'm not making fun of you. I don't fucking care. What we're doing is we are teaching a generation of children the right way to communicate. And that is by calling things gay and your buddy a faggot for missing that shot at hockey or eating a banana with no hands at lunch. I don't fucking know. Eating a fucking popsicle in prison. I'm not 100% sure. Uh, you know what I'm saying? That's what we got to be. We got to get back to that. Anyway, I digress. Welcome to episode 62. It's just me today. Sometimes the podcast episodes are named prior to ever even hitting record, and that is a luxury that I have today, folks. I've got a lot of things that I've made notes about over the course of the last couple weeks since I recorded by myself. Numero uno, Instagram's coming back. It was made abundantly clear to me by Kevin and Joe over at the Deer Hunter podcast that I have an obligation to bring my shenanigans to the world. Sometimes those shenanigans will be alone here by myself, talking to myself in my office. Sometimes I will have a guest, but considering this is a very busy time of year for me at work and hunting season is upon us everywhere, that getting guests is going to be difficult. So there's probably going to be a lot of these. I'll probably have my brother over a little bit to talk, but we're bringing this motherfucker back. And we're bringing back the F word with a hard T. We probably won't bring back the N word. I just think we'll probably leave that one alone. But for now, faggot is back on the table. And I hope you're all happy about that. Listen, the first week of the Michigan hunting season is come and gone as of today. Today is officially the 1 week mark, and it's been an interesting week. We had some really good daylight activity of deer all the way up to the day before the Michigan opener. And so Adam and I took the camper down to Hillsdale and we set it up Tuesday night, and Adam and I stayed the night and we hunted Wednesday morning and Wednesday night. That although the weather was warm, it was a dry, warm, and also not crazy. Like I've definitely had warmer opening days, but it was like low 70s, I think. Nice, cool morning, not a terrible afternoon. I ended up shooting a deer in the afternoon. I shot a doe in the afternoon. And so I was able to put a doe in the freezer already. Adam is still hunting along. Nobody else has shot a deer. Nobody else has harvested a deer. Adam was able to, I'm going to save that story for him. He's going to tell that story another time. Anyway, we had a very interesting weekend. My good friend Head, one of my longest best friends who lives in Traverse City, has had a whole gaggle of children over the course of the last 5 years. Some would say the beginnings of a soccer team or an elite swimming group, perhaps. I'm not sure. I don't think they'll do hockey. But anyway, he's got a bunch of kids. He's got a bunch of kids, little kids, and it's been very difficult for him to get away and come down and spend some time with us hunting over the course of the last 2 years. And so I haven't seen him in 2 years. The only weekend he was able to make work to hang out with us and hunt down there was opening weekend. And so I booked it. I fought real hard with some other people who wanted to come down there and hunt because I didn't know they were wanting to do that. And to find out 7 days prior to the opener is kind of rude. And so I pushed back and fought, and we kept opening weekend. And damn it, I should have given it up. It was so fucking hot. It was like upper 80s for anybody that doesn't live in Michigan and doesn't know how hot it was this past weekend. Opening weekend for Michigan was brutal. And although we saw some deer the first sit, maybe even the second sit, by the end of the weekend, we saw no deer whatsoever while on stand. And so that was really frustrating. We did have a nice cold front come through last night. As I'm recording this Wednesday, the 8th, a cold front came through yesterday, rained. The deer activity has skyrocketed. The temperature is now 30 degrees colder than it was on Monday, and the deer are loving it. I'm fucking loving it. I love the fact that I can come out to my office and not just sweat for no reason. Like I would have to do some sort of physical activity to sweat, and I'm not doing that. While we were camping, so this would be Tuesday night. It was not hot and it wasn't really cold. And so we didn't have a need inside the camper to like run the air conditioning or anything or the heater. And so it was just like Adam and I were raw dogging sleep. And it was, I don't know about anybody else. I mean, I know about other people, but I don't know if anybody that listens to this has this insane request or requirement that some sort of background noise has to be going on in order to sleep. For me at home, it's just a fan, just like a table fan. And but I learned that my brother, sweet Adam, that 40-year-old nincompoop, really likes to listen to mythological bedtime stories. Now, I'm going to let that one sink in. Adam listens to mythological or old world, old with an E at the end, bedtime stories. And so, number one, I found that fucking shocking and also fascinating. So, like, tell me more, my man. Tell me all about this. And he played it for me. He played it that night, Tuesday night going into Wednesday. And I'll be a son of a monkey's uncle. I fell asleep beautifully. There is something soothing about probably an AI-generated man's voice with a mildly European accent talking about the stars and the planets and these Greek gods. I would assume the Greek gods or these astrological gods of some sort. Man, you're gonna if you're friends with Adam on Instagram or Facebook, because he's not on Instagram anymore, I don't think. He might be on there under his business name. You're gonna need to find. I'll tell you what. I will find out exactly what it was to share with you guys because it is fucking soothing, and it will tuck you in. The problem is there's a lot of silly dad jokes in there where if you're immature like I am, you will laugh when they talk about the power of Uranus, things of that nature. But I just I didn't hate it. I probably will never use it again unless he and I are together somewhere. So mythological or astrological old world storytelling for bedtime. Give it a shot. Let me know what your thoughts are. And I will do my best to find a link to share that. It was something he had very readily available on his phone. So I know for a fact that he does it a lot. Another interesting thing that happened to me over the course of the last 2 weeks, probably 1 week, is that I learned that my son has learned from his hockey team, one or more of the boys on the hockey team, what a BBC is. Not a BBL, which I had to look that one up. A BBC. So if you have a girlfriend or a wife or a boyfriend or a husband and you stumble across their text messages and it says something about, God, I love that BBC, it means Big black cock. And, my son is 12, and I'm not naive to think that he should be so sheltered that he doesn't hear funny things like that, or when I think about some of the things that I was exposed to at the age of 12, I would imagine that we were already watching like Skinamax movies at my buddy's house at 12. So, I've seen at his age, I had probably already seen imaginary insertion of the nature, like on, my buddy had a cheater box. So a cheater box was like, he had cable, but he had what was called a cheater box. I don't really understand how it worked, but somehow it bypassed like all of the pay channels, and it basically allowed you to watch everything for free without having to have any sort of pay-per-view. So that's what his house was, the first place that I ever watched like the first iteration of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. So UFC bare knuckle, like when it was fucking real with the original guys, the original fighters. But so I would imagine that at the age of 12, we were already going over to that dude's house, and in the middle of, we would spend the night, and we would fish during the day. We'd hang out at a campfire, like in his backyard, and we played hockey together. And so we would watch Ultimate Fighter, or like not Ultimate Fighter, but UFC when it was on. And we would also watch, I want to say it was Channel 18, which is fucking bizarre that I remember that. But late at night, you would get soft core adult films, and they were wonderful. They were so great. I was really introduced to the beautiful female body through stuff like that. I also had another friend whose dad had one of those just massive in the backyard satellite dishes, the ones that actually physically moved, like when you tried to change. And we had discovered somehow that late at night, his dad would unlock the nudie channels and watch those as well. And it was also one of those houses where if you just went on the one channel, you could see what everybody was watching. And so if he had the channel, if he had the TV on, you could see what he was watching. And if it was adult films, you could watch him physically go to the parental lock, unlock it, and turn on the nudies. And we also learned inadvertently one day that as the satellite was moving through the sky, it had very specific landing points. And I don't really understand how that necessarily worked, but I imagine it was from one satellite to another. And if you stopped it as it was moving by pressing the remote, before it landed at its destination point, but very close. And so it was a series of numbers as it was scanning the sky, the horizon. And if you could watch those, you could see where its destination point was. And if you would stop it really close to that destination point, all of the channels that were locked were bypassed because you weren't actually getting the direct signal. You were picking up the signal, but not so direct that it was like reading correctly. And so we were able to figure out how to bypass all of the parental locks on the adult films by stopping the satellite prior to its final destination. So we were geniuses. We were way ahead of our time. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know that necessarily did me any good, except make me a better lover in the long run. I would imagine that's what happened. I don't feel like porn has ever and currently does not give me a false sense of reality of what physical intimacy is between a man and a woman. Like, I can look at a girl absolutely finger blasting herself or using a toy, or a man with a massive rod just absolutely pile driving a woman. And no way does that affect my relationship with my bride, nor does it give me some false sense of confidence, because Lord knows I'm not hung like that guy, and I'm not pile driving anybody. I'll take you out to a nice breakfast and maybe big spoon you to death. Till you fall asleep. God, I digress. So my son, my 12-year-old, learned about a big black cock over the course of the last couple of weeks, and so we are navigating that as parents. I think it's important that your kids are exposed to everything, especially by their teens. because you don't want them to be the weirdos that don't know anything, but you also don't want them to be the weirdos that know everything. So it's a real fine line that we have to balance as parents and adults. What is too much to share and allow them to witness, and then what's too sheltered. So we're kind of navigating that as parents. Shifting gears here. I got a lot of things written down, so I'm going to kind of quickly go through. I will go off on these little tangents, but I'm going to try to quickly navigate my way through my list. This is a very different topic, and it's one that I don't really understand. Something happened to me over the course of the last week that bothers me, and it's not the first time that it's ever happened, and it won't be the last time that it happens. But I was traveling, and I needed to get gas, and I am somebody who does not wear supplemental fragrance, so I have deodorant. It's very mild. I almost said flavored, but I wouldn't know that. It's very mildly scented. It is pine tar, but it is not like overbearing. And I no longer wear any sort of cologne. I don't use like an extraordinarily fragrant hair products. I just don't. I don't wear a beard oil. We use unscented everything. So we use unscented laundry detergent, unscented dish detergent, unscented. We don't do like dryer sheets or fabric softener. Those things are literally killing us from the inside out. They're made like those endocrine disruptors are insane fucking cancer causing things. Like all those like fake fragrances are fucking killing us. So we don't do it. And so I don't use cologne. And so I'm very mindful of what I smell like. And sometimes it's not good. And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes I'm just, sometimes I just smell like a hairy man. And that's not anything other than that. Like I'm just a hairy sack of skin, sack of bones walking around. But I went to the gas station and I grabbed the pump and I put it in my truck and I got everything going. And I instantly smelled cologne. And I was like, where in the fuck is this cologne coming? I'm the only person. Where's the fucking cologne coming from? And I realized it is now on my hand. So, again, this is not the first time this has happened. So there is a generation, or there is a group of individual men, or there's a group of men who either all day long are emanating cologne from their fucking hands for some reason, or they put cologne on immediately before they got gas, which is also weird. But why do your hands smell like cologne? What in the fuck is wrong with your hands where your hands need to smell like cologne? If you have a little bottle of Brut, you can like tip it over and it gets here, and then you put a little bit behind the ear. It's not aftershave, it's cologne. Because I understand that if you shave, you'd Home Alone, or however Kevin does that. It's not that. It's fucking cologne. And so are you putting cologne, like are you putting cologne in your hands and then rubbing it on your neck? Are you putting, I want to make sure I get that sound effect in it. That's me spraying cologne into my palm. And then are you just rubbing it around your hands? And then like, do you put it down on your dick and balls area? Like, do you have a stinky dick and balls that need cologne applied? Are you like, is it on your face or your neck? And then like you're resting your hands on your person and then it gets on your hands and then you touch things. Do you know how much I don't want to smell like you? Because there's a couple things that I cannot stand. And one of those things is smelly people. The other one is people who have no spatial awareness. And that is the people who are walking down a sidewalk and then remember that they forgot their chapstick in their car and they do a perfect 180 and walk right back into you. That they have no idea that, God forbid, somebody else was walking on the sidewalk and they turned right around and walked into you. It used to happen in school, and then it would happen at places like the mall. people with no spatial awareness, and people that smell. If I can smell you, we have a problem. Good or bad. Like bad, it's actually bad and bad because you can be smelly, as in like your breath stinks. You just are emanating funk and it's not good. Or if you have an insane amount of cologne on, like that is also bad. Or super powerful hair product or beard oil. Or if you have like, if you use 4 dryer sheets in your clothing when you're cleaning them, and it's just really covering up a musty aroma because you have a dirty or very foul washing machine, I can smell that. I have a super nose. It was just it's a burden. It's my cross to bear. I can't help it. That's also bad. So there is no good. Good is if I don't smell you at all, and in that case, I'm not smelling you. So it's not that it's a good smell. It's a lack of smell, which is the positive. So stop. Does anybody else notice this? I think that's where I was going with this. Has anybody else noticed the stinky gas pump handle that some bro, I imagine, was from New Jersey that used that and then had cologne hands, and then now you have cologne hands, and it isn't even a cologne that smells good, but now you have it on you, and you can't dude wipe it off enough. You can go into the restroom at the gas station, and you can use soap and hot water, but it ain't coming off. Has anybody else had to deal with that? Am I the only one, or am I overreacting like I normally do? I get the sense that my removal of Instagram was an overreaction based on some people's responses to me, and also my return, the way that people responded to that. I feel like maybe it was an overreaction. I'm not 100% sure. If you too have had a gas pump cologne situation, please reach out. Let me know. angelroadoutdoors@gmail.com. I would really like to start getting some emails. Angel has 2 L's. It's literally right fucking there. So angelroadoutdoors@gmail.com, or you can hit me up on Instagram and send me some messages. Let me know if any of this stuff resonates with you guys. There's nothing that tickles me more. That will come into play than getting feedback from everybody. Listen, why do old people love driving minivans? And I realized that a lot of you just stopped what you were doing and you looked up, because for some reason, when you're trying to think of something, you don't look down. When you're trying to think or imagine something, you always look up. And I don't know why that is either. But I know a lot of you just stopped what you were doing and you looked up sort of at the ceiling, or maybe if you're outside, the sky, perhaps the trees, perhaps the clouds, perhaps it was the fucking sun, and now you're snowblind and you can't see anything, and I'm sorry about that. But you know exactly what I'm talking about. Old people love to drive a minivan of some sort, form or fashion. The one that looks like a classic Black & Decker Dustbuster. Now, again, you all know exactly what that shape is. Or like the GMC Safari. But old people love to drive minivans. And I'm curious, is there a phenomenon there where there is this almost sad, heartbreaking reminiscing of what once was? And so I think what I mean by that is these old people, most of them, I imagine, used to have a vibrant and youthful family. I'm generalizing here. But these old people once had a spouse. You know, maybe they're old enough where their spouse has passed or left them because they're a grumpy piece of shit. They've had a spouse and they've had children. And those minivans remind them of the good times of yesteryear, perhaps. Is that what's going on? Does that remind them of the good old days? Because if you think about it, an old person, especially a single old person, doesn't need all of that automobile. And you know how fucking hard it is to get a minivan these days? Like a real minivan, not like these newfangled like doors that open automatically, like sort of Marty McFly would drive them, like, and cameras and bells and whistles galore. Not like that. I mean like a Plymouth Voyager or a GMC Safari or one of those goddamn Pontiacs that looked like a fucking dustbuster. I'm pretty sure it was a Pontiac. Which brings me to another point. I really wish Pontiac would come back to life. Like, get me a Fiero. Guy Fiero. I'd drive a Guy Fiero all around town. It'd be fucking white with T-tops. And it would be nothing but 80s fucking rock and roll coming out of that bitch. But speaking of 80s rock and roll, like, I think this country lost its way. Like, I think we really went off the rails when rock and roll bands stopped doing ballads, especially a ballad that included piano or an electric piano, also known as a keyboard. Like, I firmly believe that this country's really started going downhill when we got rid of the ballad. And I don't know if we got rid of the ballad out of necessity. Like, was it not something that was sought after? Because I find that very hard to believe. Nothing invokes more emotion than a very effeminate and softly featured man with long enough hair and enough makeup that you're not 100, you're beginning to question your sexuality, crooning of Lost Love over the sweet, sweet sounds of a piano and maybe some acoustic guitar. Or even an orchestra in the background. For the love of God, an orchestra? Send me over the edge. Ha! Drive me right into the bathroom to cry myself to sleep. Think Guns N' Roses, November Rain. Or, fuck, what was the name of that band that sings When the Children Cry? Or, like, Tesla, or fucking Cinderella, or Skid Row. Like, Skid Row's I Remember You. Oh my God, gets me damp in the drawers every time. And not in a like excited way or a horny way, like a sad way. Warrant, for the love of God. We were a proper country when we had rock songs with a ballad on the album. People smoked in their automobile. Like, there was a fucking ashtray in your car with one of those plug-in light, like cigarette lighters that just was a super hot coil of metal that everybody of my age and slightly younger or older has recollections of burning your thumb on purpose, but also on accident. We were a proper country when rock stars sang about lost loves over a piano. You smoked a fucking Marlboro Red 110 after lighting it in your goddamn Pontiac Fiero or your fucking Plymouth Dustbuster, and you probably were drinking a Bud Light right as you buckled in. Actually, you didn't buckle in. Seatbelts. We were better when people didn't wear seatbelts. My parents drove to Florida, and Adam and I would lay on the fucking ground. No seatbelt. Nobody wore a fucking seatbelt in 1987, 88, 89, 90 even. Maybe in 1991, we started wearing seatbelts. Everything was better. Seatbelts are just a fucking gay hug from a car. It's some goddamn nerdy fucking engineer who probably didn't have anybody in his life, couldn't hug anybody, and he was like, you know what I'm gonna put this stupid fucking piece of fabric in every goddamn car, and everybody's gonna have to wear it because I'm gonna claim that it's gonna save their lives, and it's just gonna hug them. It's gonna hug them their whole fucking car ride, a 35-minute drive to the office, and you're gonna get a 35-minute hug. Nobody wants that. Derek, Randy, it's always a fucking Randy. Randy's got nobody at home. His mom and dad live in Key West now because as soon as he moved out, they sold their house and they moved to Key West, and Randy lives alone in a single apartment with a parrot and a fucking hamster, and he works at Ford, and he designed a seatbelt so that he could, in his own imagination, give the whole world a hug every time they got into their car. Fuck that. We were so much better when you weren't wearing a seatbelt, doing 65 down the back road after you just went to Frosty Boy, with your kids, also unbuckled, throwing things in the back seat, smoking a Marlboro Red 110, and listening to fucking Cinderella on the radio with your cassette tape, mind you, that you had to tighten with a pencil because the tape in it was getting loose or wiggly. Sorry. I kind of lost my train of thought there. Actually, I didn't lose my train of thought. Those were all fucking things that I had written down, but I just did not anticipate them coming at this point in the podcast. So I hope that makes some sense to you guys, and I hope that you all, I hope that it resonates with some people. And if it doesn't, at least makes you think a little bit about back when things were better. Because we did not go in a good direction as a country. But listen, I'm playing 4D chess now, okay? I'm playing 4D chess. 4D chess. I'm going to make the things that I need work for me, bitch. I don't work for you, you work for me. No work for you, you work for me. No work you, you work me. That's how it's going to be from now on. 4D motherfucking chess. The world needs to hear this. You need to hear this. I put my tooth in for this. It's just a retainer, and they just painted it. But it's there. Listen, man. We got to be better as humans as it relates to our diet. I stopped at a rest area yesterday on my way home from Cleveland in Ohio along I-80 and was, I squeezed out a couple of logs. It's fine. Everything's fine with me. But the motherfuckers that sat down next to me need Jesus. Y'all need Jesus. Your assholes were having an exorcism in there. I don't understand. Why are you guys so unhealthy? And why can't you have any decency to not moan or some passionate exhale as you shit? It's completely, I shit every day. I shit every single day, and I have never one time in my life had an orgasmic exhale or moan because of it. I do work in there. It is a job. I like it because it feels good to have that happen, but I have never one time let anybody know how good it was by the sounds that I was making. There is no way that what I heard yesterday should coincide with your sigh of excitement or pleasure. You should be embarrassed, sirs, because it was two of you, one on each side. I ain't like it. And the dudes that fart at the urinal? Get a hold of yourself, men. I realize that it is a bathroom and excrement happens, okay? I get that. But there is nobody that needs, you can toot quietly. You do not need to have that loud, boisterous fart. It is completely unnecessary and disrespectful. And now I'm really sounding like an old man. Sorry. I got one last thing, okay? And it's probably the one thing that I have written down that I will elicit some feedback from people that I respect and that I care about and I care for and I care what they have to say. But I will tell you without hesitation that I am so fucking sick and tired of the virtue signaling about deer mounts and how they mean nothing and that we shouldn't be doing them because our kids are going to be annoyed about it when we're dead. I'm going to quiet down here for a second. Let me make this abundantly clear. I do not give a flying fuck what my kids are annoyed by that I had, have, or didn't that they have to deal with when I am dead. Those mounts are not, will never be, and I don't fucking care about. They're not for them. They're for me. Explicitly for me. The Euro mounts, those are not Euro mounts. The Euro mounts, The shoulder mounts over there above my fucking fart chair in my living room, those are all for me, and I don't give a flying fuck if it's annoying to them when I'm dead, if they have to throw every single motherfucking one in the garbage. I do not and will not ever give a flying fuck what anybody thinks about how many mounts I have, or how many is too many, or whether my kids are going to care. I don't fucking care. Every one of those is for me. It is to, every time I look at them every day, and I replay, not every day, but very frequently, the scenario in which I harvested that animal. It is so comforting to me to be able to relive those memories. It has absolutely nothing to do with anybody but me. And recently, there are so many people that are just like posting about and talking about how mounts are unnecessary and what are your kids going to think when you're dead? Who fucking cares about that? I want my kids to miss having breakfast with me, or how dad used to make them lunch. God damn it, I said I wasn't going to cry. Or how dad used to make me lunch. My dad worked from home for their whole entire life, and made me breakfast every day, and would take me to hockey or soccer, or we would, work in the yard or shoot bow and arrows or shoot pucks or like play soccer in the front yard, or like, that's the only thing I give a fuck that they think about. I hope that they're annoyed with all the dumb hunting stuff I had. I truly hope that they look at all of my podcasting equipment that I'm sure I'll have forever and go, what a fucking nerd. I hope that they'd have to deal with all that shit. I hope that I leave them no debt. I hope that I leave them no problems to deal with. If the only problem that my kids have when I'm fucking dead is my deer shit and like my deer mounts and my hunting stuff and my podcasting equipment, great. What a wonderful life. How fortunate they should be that that's the worst it fucking gets. Now, I say all that to say this. If you're a huge piece of shit and that's all you do, then fuck you. Like, if all you're doing, if you're fucking off and not paying attention to your wife and your kids, then those podcasts are probably for you. But this is not a fucking topic big enough for enough people, for these people to, they're just, I swear it's virtue signaling, like, oh, look at me, this is my opinion now, and I think it's virtuous that I say, spend more time with your family. No fucking shit. No fucking shit. But also, spend all your money, because you can't take it with you, and shit ain't getting any better, and it's not, like, we live in the greatest time ever. Yes, there's a bunch of shitheads out there, but this is as good as it's going to fucking get. And if you're in your prime, like me, fucking ripped, just fucking mostly tan, beautiful facial hair, a full fucking head of hair, sorry, Uncle Bode, if you just sit back and look at your life, this is as good as it fucking gets. And if you're going through a hard time, I'm sorry about that, but it's going to get better, and this is as good as it fucking gets. There has never been a better time to be a bad motherfucker than right now. And I would encourage you to go out and do whatever the fuck you want to do, because nobody gives a fuck about anything at all. Everybody cares about themselves. I've said this 1,000 times. If you're worried that you don't drink at a party and someone's going to think you're a weirdo, I can promise you this. They don't fucking care. Nobody fucking cares that you're not drinking. They might ask you if you'd like a beer, and if you say, no thanks, I don't drink, they're going to go, oh, that's cool. Cool. And then they're going to move on, because nobody fucking cares. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Get every fucking deer you have mounted. Collect them all. Make a fucking mess so that when you die, your family has to think about everything you ever did for all of their entire lives and reminisce. And I promise you, they will not fucking care if they had to throw everything away. They won't give a fuck, because all they care about is that they miss you. Get your fucking deer mounted. Spend all your money. Shit outside. Eat fiber. Drink energy drinks. Say faggot. Let's start smoking cigarettes again. Who fucking knows? Who cares? You know, I said that was the last thing I was going to talk about. And I think I actually tricked myself. I had a conference call on Friday of last week with some developers that we're working with. And at the end of the call, I said, listen, guys, I have kind of a tall ask for you. This is me. So I'm on a Microsoft Teams call with my real estate guy and this developer and his architect, and they're wearing fucking suits and ties and shit. And I'm in a fucking tank top, I'm sure. My tooth was not in, but I'm not on video. I don't ever do video unless I absolutely have to. And it's the end of the call. It was a good call. And at the very end, I say, hey, listen, guys, I got a tall ask because we don't have an executed lease yet, but I'd really love it if you could start providing us weekly photos and a progress report every Thursday by the end of business so that I can have accurate information for my Friday conference calls. We'd really appreciate it. I said, the reason is we have these, we get asked about all of our projects, and it'd be really great if I had the most accurate information for everybody. I said, our executive leadership team would be incredibly tickled. And I said, if there's one thing about my team here is that we aim to tickle. And I didn't know when I started talking where I was going to land that plane. And I will tell you this, you never know whose day you're going to brighten, because I absolutely lit those motherfuckers up when I said we aim to tickle. I've never heard a grown professional men laugh so hard. Again, I didn't know where that plane was going to land, but I'm glad it landed at that airport, because that's one of the best things I've ever said in my entire life, is that we aim to tickle. And that is the title of this episode. That's how I got there. And I'll tell you this, this is what I'm going to leave you with. If you put your foot in your mouth, just take it out and move on, because 9 times out of 10, it's really not that big of a fucking deal. You can be a professional and say some off the wall shit. Just don't be racist. Don't use derogatory, language, unless you're sure that the room can handle it. Faggots.